Okay, it looks like it's 11 o'clock, and we may have a couple more people still joining us. But as you know, these are just very casual. And again, the intent is just to inform you of some of the new services that we've launched over this past year with our consulting launch of consulting. So I'll go ahead and get started. And again, my name is Andrew Whitis, and I'm going to talk today about appreciative surveys and how we're doing this at OhioNet. So let's see. If you've been to these before, you've probably seen some of these slides because we kind of have the same deck to kind of keep them consistent. Little change on this actual slide though. So our consulting team, Michelle Bradley, who's with us today, and Heather Ladisky. So Michelle's director of consulting, and Heather's our project manager. There is one person missing off the slide. That's Nancy Kirkpatrick. So I think probably by now everybody has heard that Nancy has moved on to another position. So she's no longer on our consulting team daily, but there may be opportunities in the future for her to still come back and work with us on some engagements. We'll see if we need that in the future, but that's the team right now. And again, unlimited possibilities. We're upending traditional consulting, and we're doing this by acting as a partner when we're working with you. There are a number of library consultants out there in the marketplace willing to work with you, and we all are invested in your success. But at OhioNet, we really are invested in your success because primarily we're working with our members. So we appreciate your membership, and we want to make sure that the work we're doing with you is leading to the kind of outcome you're looking for. We use inclusive practices rather than a top-down approach. Again, most of our work is embedded and framed in appreciative inquiry, which is inclusive in nature, and as well as a number of our other frameworks that we use. We focus on possibilities rather than problems. Again, that's a core tenet of appreciative inquiry. And we do provide post-project support to ensure your success. Again, many consultants do that, but as I said at the beginning, you're our member and we want to ensure your success. So again, a little bit more about what sets us apart. We're consultants and we know libraries because, again, all of us are librarians. Not only are we librarians, we've also been directors. So Michelle has most recently, she was a director of a public library, and she's worked in both academic and public libraries. And as some of you know, I was an academic librarian for 18 years before joining the OhioNet team here in Ohio. So we not only know libraries, we know the challenges that library administrators often face, and we also bring a lot more of our knowledge than just libraries as well. So between Michelle and I, we have other experiences both in business and in marketing and psychology and in accounting and public administration. We have a lot of other work experience that we bring along with us when we're working with our clients. But today we're going to talk about, again, one of our new services. And the way I'm presenting this is a standalone service because it is, but it's also a part of strategic planning or can be part of our strategic planning process, depending on how you perhaps want to structure that if you were to hire us to work with you for that. But again, appreciative surveys, the premise here is to think about, instead of doing a normal survey, which I am sure we've all done those, we're really trying to do questions that create questions that focus on success. And again, the idea is we're trying to find out what's working so we can grow from that and improve and continue to deliver quality service in the future to our communities. So why you might want to choose the approach of, again, starting with an appreciative mindset or appreciative frame and developing survey questions. Usually this will give you richer information with context. So we've all, I'm sure, been there, and there's a variety of, standardized library type survey applications out there that you can use. And you may have, already been a part of different groups that have used different tools and different survey library survey providers out there. But in general, the challenge with some of those is you get data, but you can't always discern the context, or you're getting information without any context. So in general, our appreciative questions usually give you a little bit more context. Um, I'm talking again appreciative question, but when we talk about survey itself, we can do this primarily. We're doing this online, but we could do appreciative interviewing in person. In general, when you're doing any kind of survey, you want to try to limit interview bias, and appreciative questions tend to do that. And also you want to eliminate or try to reduce leading questions. And again, appreciative question design kind of leads naturally for that to not happen. Overall, the results are usually easier for stakeholders to accept, and the reason I'm saying this is because generally the comments and the content that is provided by the respondent is less negative, because again, the way the question is asked, it starts from that positive frame. And overall, the information, the data you get is usually more meaningful to you and useful to, again, validate what's working and perhaps give suggestions on how to improve going forward. So how are these structured? So I've been using this word already a lot, but what we're really trying to do is we're trying to reframe the question to focus what is on working well. That's kind of the whole premise when we're doing appreciative inquiry work, including if we were doing appreciative inquiry strategic planning. We use the same kind of concept to create those questions. So reframing what is working well. We're asking the respondent to identify, well, what are their peak experiences? So again, usually in the context of a library program or service, what was, again, the high point of that service, so we can kind of learn, again, what kind of worked well from that. The questions often capture what respondents value most from the service of the program, and we invite the respondent to suggest improvements. So again, this is the concepts we're trying to incorporate appreciative inquiry into the survey question crafting. This can be done for both qualitative type questions where you're using a Likert scale, or qualitative questions where you're using something a little bit more open-ended. That's usually we're going to provide, you're going to get more context and that richness, usually using more of a qualitative type question. So examples of questions that you could do, and again, this is, we're trying to think of these in a variety of ways. So we ask questions that define the best of what is currently happening. So what do you think the library does well and should continue to do? And again, this is probably a qualitative question. Dream what could be, what unique contribution can the library make in the future of our community? Design what should be, what changes would you like most to see in the library, and what do you imagine your own role to be to make this happen? And then what will be. So again, going into the future, imagine the library as you most want it to be 5 years from now. What is it like? What do you see and hear? What services are offered that help you? So again, the idea with these, as I've said, is trying to get people to, again, not go negative from the beginning, because usually we've probably experienced this is when we administer a survey, often people want to just go directly to what's wrong, what's not working, what's bad. It's a way for people to air grievances that they have. It is what it is. But if you often start with a positive frame, then that tends to lead people to actually go back and answer in a positive frame. So I alluded that we could do this standalone, or we can do this as part of a strategic planning process. And that's what we've actually done with one of our academic clients. We actually used this concept of appreciative survey questions in lieu of doing focus groups, and it actually worked out well. This was an academic library that had a very large student population that was primarily not on campus, and it was a way to, instead of, again, focus in a group, focus interviews in groups often, give you the rich data, but you have to capture people. And during the time constraint, working with this client, doing it this way as a survey allowed us to actually capture that data to then work with them to continue on building their strategic plan. And I think it worked out really well. And the director was kind of happy with the results from that. So again, this is SurveyMonkey. This is the tool we primarily use, but we can also use other tools if so desired. And you can kind of see an example, again, just some questions that were used. And this is an example from that strategic planning process where we asked these questions in lieu of doing a focus group to obtain information that we later used as part of strategic planning. But this could also be used standalone, just to kind of understand, again, if something is working with one of your programs or services. So I've alluded again that this is standalone and this can be done as part of strategic planning. What can we do? We can do whatever you would like us to do. If you just need help crafting questions, that could be an aspect of what we do. If you would actually like us to craft the questions in conjunction with you and then administer the survey on your behalf, we can do that. And then finally, we can actually go the next step and we could actually analyze results, or we don't have to. It's kind of up to what you're wanting with your survey need is, and also how much you perhaps want to spend on collecting this data. The point I'm just trying to make is that we have flexibility, and if you're interested in this, please do reach out and we will have a conversation with you to fully understand what you need and understand your budget, and then kind of recommend a solution that can work for you. So that was a quick overview. And again, just a reminder that our consulting services are fee-based. They're scalable. Just try to make that point. Virtual or in person. So again, this is talking about appreciative surveys, appreciative survey design. I've been talking about how I've been doing this virtually. Flipping it a little bit, we could do focus groups in person using a similar concept of crafting those questions. That would be an in-person version, and it's available now. So if this is something you're looking to do still this fall or early next year, please do reach out to us. Reminder, we have one more information session left this year, and that is on December 20th. Michelle is going to be talking about workplace well-being. We just recently launched, you've probably seen at least one or two emails. Hopefully, we launched the Ohio Library Workplace Wellbeing Survey. And if you've not, or this is the first time you're hearing anything about it, please go to our website and you can learn more information and find the link to go take that survey. The survey is free. We're trying to get as many library workers to take the survey to understand what's happening in the state right now, how people are feeling, and Michelle's going to talk more about what we're doing with workplace well-being overall in this information session on the 20th. If you want to, again, know more about our consulting services, go to the OhioNet website, and if you click on the services drop down towards the top, you can see all of our consulting services that we have launched and we're doing. And then finally, I'm happy to answer questions right now, or if you want to know something more specific, you can contact Michelle directly. There is a link again on our website that requests info and price quote. If you click on that link, it's a form that asks you to provide some basic information, and it will send an email to Michelle and she'll go back in touch with you, or you could contact her directly, Michelle B at ohionet.org. So again, these are very informal, very quick, and I'm sure I may have gone over that quickly. So if somebody has any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. I have the chat box open. I can read them, or if you want to come off mute and ask a question live, you are welcome to do that too.
This might be an unanswerable question, Andrew. You said that the cost is scalable. Can you give us any kind of range? So I'm interested in utilizing your survey service, but I have a budget, so.
I don't know if Michelle wants to jump in. Again, it really is. We have the ability to work with you. It just depends again how complex and complex. So if we're gonna do, if we were, so how many? Okay, I'll back up a minute. And I kind of,
Sorry, Andrew, I'll pop in. I didn't.
okay.
So generally, our consulting services are $1,000 a day. So it's how much time it would take to, and how, at what level you needed work. And I can give you, if I can pop, I'll mute myself and look up, like, for doing a full service, like design, analyze, all of that. I can look up one we've done and give you the price for that, if that would help. Okay, I'm going to pop off and do that.
I'll send you an email too. I have a specific.
Yeah, where I was going with my rambling is, I think if you're just talking about one population or two populations, it depends on, and again, because often working with the one client, there was a core set of questions, and then they wanted some more information about different population groups. Of course, an academic library, the populations were students, and then faculty, and then community members, and then administrative staff. So there are really 4 surveys we ran for that library, and I think that goes back to the complexity that Michelle was kind of talking about. So if you get really into the weeds and wanting to ask a lot of different questions to subpopulations, that's where it's going to take a little bit more time to not only, again, perhaps craft the right question, but then to build up the survey. And then if you're also asking us to do a lot of analysis, analysis again is optional. Again, the more analysis we do, that's going to take more time.
Thank you.
Yeah. So again, if you're, I'll ramble a minute while Michelle's maybe looking still. Academic libraries, you've probably heard of the MISO survey, and this is not, I would say this is not an equivalent. What we're suggesting and doing, the MISO survey, which is has been in existence for at least a decade, I think now, if not more. When I was at the University of Findlay, we ran that a number of times, and it gives you good information. But the challenge that we had with it, even though we had the ability to customize it, was the lack of context. Because the MISO questions, you're pretty much limited to a core set of questions, and you can again do some fine tuning, but there was always a number of questions that came up that were, at one time, certain questions were required. I think they've now kind of they've taken that limitation off. But the challenge is that we would get, of course, faculty and students talking about wanting more resources, but then they never went further into explaining exactly what that meant when they talked about resources. Or you get we want more books. It's like, well, what do you mean when you say you want more books? So again, that was a limitation of that survey, because the types of questions, the questions it asked were very basic. And again, that survey is unique because it's surveying both the library and IT side of support for the organization. So just kind of putting that out there, if you have any familiarity with the MISO survey, this is not it. And maybe Kelsey has a question. Oh, no problem. Oh, I saw you come in with unmuted. Okay, I thought maybe you had a question. Anybody else out there have a question or not? Again, you can put it in chat. Okay, Michelle just put in the chat. So 3,000 to design and administer a complete community survey and an additional 2,000 to compile a report. And that was just for, again, one library. And again, that was also, there's a little complexity perhaps in that. So I do encourage you that if you are interested, please do reach out, use the form, or contact Michelle, give her some basic information, and we can work with you to see what we might be able to do. And again, there's more going in chat, maybe. Right, Michelle responded, right, customized. Yeah, that was customized to the RFP for that library, that quote that she just put into chat. And Heather is reminding everybody that this session, if it did come in late, just like all the rest of them, will be loaded into our YouTube channel and also linked to on the OhioNet. I think it's on the blog section is where these are ending up at. So you can go back through and find them. But if you go to the YouTube channel, they're all right there too. Okay. And again, last call for questions about this service, or if you have questions in general about consulting, we're all here. We're happy to answer questions about that. Okay, well, it looks like there really are no other questions. So I want to thank you for joining us today. And if you do have further questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us and we'll get back to you. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day, and we'll hopefully be connecting with you here in the future. Bye.